administration, the teachers, and the students. So we like to, have these meetings. We always have our principal, Miss Pearl, here. She's standing in the back right there.
Hello.
If you haven't had the chance to meet her yet, she's phenomenal, and it's a blessing, beyond blessings, that she is in fact our principal this year. So we're very excited that she is, officially ours this year. Last year she was unofficially ours, so we are really happy about that and excited to have a full year here with her. She is at every meeting, so if you ever have a concern, any type of question, she's always available in person at these meetings. We have them once a month. They are on the first Tuesday of every month. They're always right here, and they are usually kept to just an hour. We know your time is very valuable, so we appreciate that. So at 6 o'clock, first Tuesday of every month. But we do have a list of all of the dates on there if you need them. So we are, my board and I, Ms. Daniels is right, Daniel is right here. Ms. Daniels is coming. Julie Daniel is on the board. We also have Michelle Colbert and Tammy Daniels. We are all the parents of seniors. So we have been here 4 to 5 years, and this is our swan song. So we are in desperate need of anybody who can fill these spots. So the administration is fantastic to work with. It's not a lot of your time is required, but here's Michelle Colbert now. She's gonna love the fact that I just pointed her out. She's our vice president, but as I stated, so since all of our students are seniors, this will be the last year for us. So anyone who's interested at any time, in any capacity that you feel you might be able to help out, please reach out. We will make sure, because we have your sign-in sheet with your emails, I'll be sending out emails from the PTSO Gmail account, and you can respond to it or to me individually or to Ms. Pearl at any time and let us know if you'd be interested in those spots. We generally do spirit wear. We sell some shirts and other things, magnets, that kind of thing. So at a lot of the games and that kind of thing, we'll have a cabinet available. So we have a cabinet available and sell the shirts to try to make money. Our big focus for the Thomas Stone PTSO is really we want to ensure that our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week, which is always in May, is a phenomenal and exciting thing. So we try to make money to ensure that every single day that week, we're able to let them know how much we appreciate them. So we do some other fundraisers, but it's pretty low key, not anything crazy or out the box. We also have, I am moving very quickly through this agenda because I know you all have open house to get to. So I'll move through this pretty quickly, and then if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to. Yeah, there's handouts up here. Please feel free. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer them and then let you guys get to open house. So the Thomas Stone High School PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Intervention and Supports, is headed by Mr. Rist, who happens to be here tonight. He would love and welcome the input of any parent to help motivate and incentivize the students to, always be on their best behavior, help each other, support each other, encourage each other. So they do different things throughout the year to, they've got are they paused? The Cougar pause?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, so if a student is doing something good, exceptional, anything like that, a teacher is able to give out Cougar paws, and they can turn those in for, I'm not very well versed on it, but they can turn those in different ways to get things. They also have celebrations, I think quarterly, but you could be a part of that discussion and come up with ways to help the kids out. So I put all of those meeting dates on there. We are looking at possibly doing some sales for the concessions, maybe the homecoming dance. We do have the chess tournament here this year for Charles County, again at Thomas Stone. They move it back and forth between North Point and Thomas Stone. So I think it is here this time. So it was a pretty good sales opportunity for us. So we'd love to be able to do that again. That'll be more of a discussion with Ms. Pearl later to sort of get out the details of that. Other than that, Ms. Pearl, did you have anything that you'd like to add at this time?
Yes, I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
great.
I'm gonna use this time to just talk.
Yes.
So I want to thank you because your support, we can't do what we do as a community without you, and we are off to a wonderful start to our school year. So please, just whatever's happening at home, just thank you. We will have, I guess, the Parent-Teacher Conference Day on October 14th. So I've been sending out bi-weekly kind of parent news, I guess, letters. So I need to make sure that every parent is able to receive that communication. So if you could just, if you haven't been, can you please check in with the office just to make sure that your parent contact information is correct? On that day, when that October 14th day, it is by appointment only. So if you are looking to have a parent-teacher conference on this Friday, it'll be a special email that goes home with a link to sign up with your child's individual teacher. So you will have to, some of you may just want to sign up for maybe one teacher, or maybe you want to see all 7. That's up to you, but it will be by appointment only. So, and once those time slots are filled, then you're gonna have to call the grade level counselor. And so we included that information because I realize that some people are still saying that they did not know who the counselor is, because that is yet another change from last school year where we did counseling by alpha order, and this school year everything's by grade level. So that information is on I don't know what side of the page you're looking at, but under, if you have, I'm so sorry, some of you may not have this one. So if you have this about our night to night, it's our letter. It's inside of the letter as, like, if you are seniors, you have Ms. Ransom. If you have a junior student, they have Ms. Jarman. If they're sophomores, they see Ms. Attic, and if they're freshmen, they have Mr. Bonet. And if they're a special program student, they have Ms. Prado. And so we've included their email address. So if you didn't get one of these, you need this because it gives us our schedule for visiting classrooms as well. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, but do they stick with that counselor the rest of the way through?
They're gonna stick with that
Okay.
counselor the rest of the way through. So they're sticking with the counselor the rest of the way through, and we're also, VPs have always been by grade level. So if we start from the top, Mr. Lamb is in the main office. He's a senior counselor. Ms. Paul is the he's the senior VP. Ms. Paul is our VP over the junior. Her office is in the Commons, and their offices are very clearly labeled throughout the school as you're visiting. Mr. Genoa, he is for 10th grade. He's a 10th grade vice principal. His office is downstairs, like in the middle of that rectangle there. And then Ms. Clay, who is right there, is our freshman administrator, and her office is just literally across from us in the main hall. And then we also have Mr. Alvarez, who's standing right there. Mr. Alvarez doesn't necessarily deal with your kids exclusively, but he is very much involved. So he is what we call our instructional VP, but he is there to be and offer assistance to students as needed as well. So it's an administrative team of 6, including myself. So I'm asking, as issues occur, that your grade level VP is the first person that you notify and that you're making contact with if you're having issue. Can I just touch, certain things I'm saying over and over again, like in those little newsletters, but now that we're having a little bit of a conversation, let me touch on a few things. The kids are doing really good with dress code, but here we're still having a few issues. With our young men, it is the pants being too low, so you can encourage your son or daughter that they should be secured at the waist. Pretty much the hoods, it's still kind of warm, so not so much yet, but it's still a few that are trying to wear hoods, and you can encourage them that the hood should be off. When it comes to the young women, there have been, and hopefully you've seen the code of conduct document. We have our handbook went home. If your student was a freshman, they were also given an agenda book. So all of these things went home in the first week of school. So we still have a few agenda books to sell for those students that would like them. They're $5, but every freshman, in order to help them transition to the demands of high school, was given an agenda book through their English teacher about the second week of school to help them stay on track. So, I'm sorry, I diverged because I started to talk about dress code. What I wanted to say with the young ladies with dress code was that the county policy has kind of been updated. So the language has changed as to what it means to be like fingertip length. So they've kind of pretty much said it's like when your hand meets the mid-thigh. And before, we would say that was fingertip length. And then with our young ladies, I think they don't account for how it looks in the front is different than how it looks in the back. So in the front, it appears to be a lot longer than what it actually is in the back, because it's two humps back there that they don't account for. So it needs to be long enough that they're clearing that. So I always try to tell them, like, if you have to question it, you might not want to wear it, or just put some leggings on. So the other issue that we're having is the rips and the tears in the jeans. So because again, the rule is that they cannot be like up here on the thigh, they should be mid-thigh or lower. And then the last thing with the ladies that's an issue is the bike shorts and the leggings. The new rule says that if they're gonna wear those, it should be a shirt that covers their tail. So if the shirt, if it's like a sweatshirt and it's hitting here, they're technically in dress code violation. Most of the young ladies, we've just been very nice with. If it's too outrageous, we've kind of given them a new shirt, or we've given them a t-shirt and said, cover yourself. But it hasn't been a lot, but I know as the school year gets on, their go-to outfit in the winter is the leggings with a sweatshirt and their UGG boots. So we're trying not to have to remove them from class for that. We're just trying to, we want them to kind of look a certain way before they come to school so that it's not an issue. So if you can help just reinforce those key things with dress code, that's what we're seeing the most with. The cell phone policy countywide has been updated, so I've sent information on this too. So pretty much, Thomaston has always been a BYOD school. And what that meant was that in classrooms, if there was a learning activity that they could use a cell phone with, they would do so. It is not meant that they could just willy-nilly have the cell phones out. The new county policy says that there should be no cell phones out. However, we honor BYOD. So the only time that they can have a cell phone out in a classroom technically is if it's a green day, which means that it's a day where the teacher has an activity that's gonna carry them through use of a cell phone in a positive, productive learning environment. Or if it's a yellow day, so that they're using the phone intermittently within the class period. So there'll be times when they can have a phone out, and then there'll be times when they have to put it away for the activity. Or if it's a red day, so they won't use it at all. In the hallways, what that means for the county cell phone policy is that they cannot be out at all. So the issue that we're having in the hallway is that we're not necessarily seeing the cell phones, we're seeing these little expensive AirPods, and we're seeing the wires from the earbud cords. So that's an issue. So most kids will put them away once directed by any adult in this building. The issue becomes once they refuse, then you turn it into another situation. So please just say, hey, in the hallway, you don't need to have it out from period to period to period. That's not what we're supposed to do. We have allowed students, because we're now at Cougar time, to use their cell phones then. That's the 1 hour lunch. Along with them using the cell phone, it's the one earbud rule. So the idea is that they're still alert in case there's an emergency, something happens. They're allowed one earbud in or one AirPod in at lunchtime, which is the 1 hour lunch from 10:40 to 10:50 to 11:50. That is the only time in the day that they may use their electronic device. So with that being said, and I'm quite sure it's none of you, but I want to say it out loud since I got an audience, please refrain from calling or texting your child during the school day. If you're going to do it, please do it at that hour, because that's distracting and it becomes problematic because there is no cell phone policy. And I get it, we live in the age of technology, information flows fast, and you want to know what's going on, call the school first. Because if they're in the classroom and you feel like something isn't going right, they're just gonna get in more trouble. So please, please, please call the school first, and please try to refrain from texting your children because you are helping them to break a school rule. That's a county-wide policy. When it comes to Cougar Time, we're okay. I'm gonna be very careful how I say this. The kids cannot like call for pizza or call for Chinese food. I'm just saying. However, if a parent wants to drop off lunch, that is fine. However, we're not gonna call them down. It's almost 1,200 kids. So what the front office is requesting and what I'm asking of you is, if you are gonna bring them lunch for the day, please do so before 10:50, and please text them to let them know that their lunch is there, so that they're just gonna come up. Because when we are in Cougar Time, the 1 hour lunch is an opportunity for them to get some tutoring support, for them to be part of a club, and for them to eat. But it is also a very structured time where they don't get the whole hour to roam the building. So they have two halves, two 30-minute halves In the first 10 minutes of each half, they can have some movement. That's the only time they're allowed to move in that 1 hour. So it's important that if you're gonna bring them lunch, you get them here before, the lunch would have to be here before 11 o'clock at that point so that they can retrieve the lunch. And if you're gonna do it at the second half, then you would have to get them here at, 11:20. So, cause that's the next break in the time that they can have movement during the 1 hour. So let me, also say, the 1 hour lunch is new to half the school, because last year we did what was called pause period and we had it second period, so we've connected this time. I need you to encourage your child to utilize that hour every day. Every teacher has tutoring time in their schedule, and it may be on different days of the week. So we've had time, the first 2 weeks of school, it happened during the second week, where they spend time in fourth period coming up with their Cougar time schedule, at least they should have, so that they at least can identify where their teachers are offering tutoring support or support that they are running into difficulty, that they have help. I'm very disheartened that we have an hour that we give these kids every day and we have F's on report cards. We really should not have that. If they get an hour to help themselves and the teachers to often get help from. But we do not, in most cases, we won't chase kids down, but we do need them to understand that they have to utilize that Cougar time, because that's what it was meant for, to give them that extra academic support. So they choose which half of lunch they wanna eat, but what we're finding happening with some of our younger students is they're choosing to stay either in the commons, because that's the second place to eat, or around the cafeteria area. Some of our freshmen and sophomores are using that to sit in that area the entire time. So when those interims come out around the middle of October, and you're seeing some unfavorable grades, please have the conversation and ask, how many times have you visited so-and-so? How many times did you go visit your math teacher? How many times have you visited English teacher? Ask them how many times have they used this time during the Cougar time hour to visit teachers if the grades aren't, I guess, up to par or to your liking, because they have the built-in time in their day for the academic support. And I just think again, I got a lot more time. Okay. Because we gotta stay on schedule, I'm so sorry. I think I said everything that I wanted to say. If you are interested in joining the PTSO, we do have the forms. Please consider coming. I have been at all the PTSO meetings, and I'm not gonna lie, literally it's a team of 4 that come to our monthly meetings. The meetings are only the first Tuesday of every month about 6 o'clock. I would love it if you would join us this one time a month, so that we can continue to build community and continue to build relationship and do what's best for our students. And I need your help to do so. Do I have any quick questions that I can ask? And then I'm going to transition us to getting to the open house. Yes, Ms. Daniel.
Social media.
Ms. Clay.
Okay, so, and then who's in charge of the AP Scholars Board?
This one right here, Ms. Mahoney.
Because it hasn't been updated. since
Yes.
like 2016.
Right.
Okay, so Ms. 15.
Right. I agree.
So can I talk to her about it sometime?
And you
What's
could-
your name again?
Ms. Clay.
I'm sorry, yes.
Just real quick, I probably missed it, but for the student, Spirit Care, is it an online website or is it at the school?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
To buy, time and stone gear?
Yeah, we do not have it online. The class of 2020 has got an online store. They just sent that email out, but for our Spirit Wear, it's a little bit different. I mean, just the shirts and the logo is just a little bit different. We have it physically here at the school. You can get it at any time. You can send money in with your student and they can take it into the office here and they'll get it for them. They have access to our cabinet. We just have a cabinet. So usually at games and stuff like that, we're there and you can access it there. Okay, you're welcome.
If there's a need, what we can do is we can open it up at lunch and just sell a few days at lunch. Would that help everyone so that the kids can purchase the Spirit Wear?
Help with that.
So we can send something home to let you know what days we will open it up at lunch to sell at lunchtime. All right, yes, sir.
About the dress code, I mean, it seems that it's an issue for you guys, and I kind of now understand why we're not kind of like even warning to the students. I mean, it's like.
Yes, we give them we always
Because if we actually allow them to do it once or twice,
Right,
it's kinda
so-
like it's a rule set up, but nobody really implements it. So it's
No,
kinda
we're
like
implementing,
we're
so
playing around.
here's our issue. The issue is, it's not the same kids every day. And for me, I'd rather fix it, so I fix and get the kid back in class. So if it's just, for example, if some of the girls would come with like a mid-dress shirt, it's just a simple thing that they come into the office, we give them an old class t-shirt and they go. The issue is, it's not the same children, like repeat offenders either.
But Ms. Principal, we're dealing with high school students, we don't have middle school,
No, you
middle school,
don't.
elementary, so they know the rules very well. So if
They
they
do.
come into the school like that, they already know for a fact, they're gonna actually, break into rules.
Yeah,
So if
I
we
agree.
allow them, fix them in the office, it's kinda like, it's okay for today, there we go, you coming back tomorrow, we'll do it again.
no, they don't. That's the issue. It's not the same set of kids. So once we corrected what one said, then we find that here's another set. They try it because they're teenagers sometimes. So, and sometimes they don't think that their outfit is not appropriate either. And we find that mainly with the girls with the skirt length, because to them, they've made it, but then it just looks very different. It's a different perspective from looking at it from behind. And many of our kids, their parents aren't home when they leave out for school. So I'm not trying to ruin their day, I just need them to be appropriate. And, this is the next step into adulthood, so I do need them, like, they can own their dress. And I'm not trying to be punitive over dress code, I just need us to continue to work together, so that we're not dealing with it on a, like, it's not like 100 kids a day, but it's enough a day that it's still a little bit of an issue. And it's only because the dress code policy itself, like the rule about the leggings has changed. The rule about the dress code with the skirt length or the rips in the jeans, those things are new to students that have been adjusted. So it's just this learning curve about what is now expected. That's where we're at. Yes, ma'am.
During, Cooper time, does the student need to schedule
Nope.
the time with them?
Nope.
And also the list of clubs?
So there's a bulletin board down there that has most of the clubs on it, so they're in periodic spots in the building. And then when we started this, the second week of September, they were given documents that had all of this in it as well. And then they should have gotten like a schedule, it was like a blank schedule that they would have spent time filling one out. So I will work to update that at some way on our county, or no, I'm sorry, not county, on our school website, so that the schedule is just posted. I think that's fair enough. It is 6:23, and you probably need to sign first. So I'm going to make the announcement. So if you do not have your student with you, or you need to know, what happens now is, if you don't know what their first period is, there's class list by grade and alpha order on the glass right here. Once you get the first period, if you don't have the schedule, every teacher has a schedule to give you so that you can navigate through first through eighth period. We are doing, all the periods. It's 8-minute periods with 4 rounds to get, because the kids have literally 4 minutes to go from class to class. So you'll have 4 minutes to get to each class until we're done at the conclusion of 8th period. Thank you again.